Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hi everybody.
Hello everyone.
Wacky voice.
Yeah.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Bender's Big Score.
Bender's Big Score.
The Futurama movie.
Yeah, the first Futurama movie.
The first Futurama movie / TV episodes / season. I don't know. It's weird.
Yes, I'm afraid the brainless drones who run the delivery network canceled our license. Yes, I see. Good news, everyone! Those asinine morons who canceled us were themselves fired for incompetence. And not just fired, but beaten up, too. And pretty badly.
We're back, baby.
Yeah, they combined all of the movies because they did 4 movies.
Yeah.
After the show got canceled from Fox and before it got revived by Comedy Central, I think.
Yeah. This was aired on Comedy Central, I believe. You're right, as this might have been made separate from Comedy Central, but they knew that Comedy Central was picking it back up, I believe.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I think, because there's a nod to Comedy Central. There's a few nods in the movie. And so I'm pretty sure they at least knew that was a potential. And I don't know. And then this was split up and aired on Comedy Central. So, yeah. But yeah, this is between Fox canceling Futurama. The first time, did Fox cancel them only once?
I think so, and then I think Comedy Central canceled them twice. I don't know. There's something
that checks
weird.
Out.
Yeah, it's.
Well, first of all, hold on. It's Thursday, so I need to thank our patron, Andrew McGuire. Thank you very much, Andrew. Andrew's the one who came to us and said, "Hey, look here, Jack. You're gonna watch Bender's Big Score." That's exactly how they said it to us.
Mm-hmm.
They were very commanding. Really in charge of the room.
Mm-hmm. They're
sexy,
powerfully sexy. Yeah,
yeah,
extremely erotic.
Andrew McGuire. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this is I don't know. You've seen Futurama, right? We've all seen it.
Yeah, I think so.
This is a weird thing to talk about because, yeah, it's the first Futurama movie, like we said, after they get canceled. This was written by Ken Keeler, who is significant in the sense that he wrote my favorite Simpsons episode.
Which one is that?
Two Bad Neighbors.
Yeah.
I love that episode. That is the George Bush
Senior. Bush one, yeah, when George Bush moves across the street. That's a great episode. It's
fucking fantastic. It's the introduction, I believe, of Disco Stew. It's like where we meet Disco Stew.
Yeah, it's because that's when it begins with a yard sale and he's selling his Disco Stud jacket, except it says Disco Stew.
Which I wonder if, is that I mean, I'm sure there's more. I haven't kept up with The Simpsons, but that felt like the newest character introduced while I was watching The Simpsons. Because Disco Stew comes back, right?
I assume so. They all do. Disco Stew probably has a whole ass fucking backstory.
At this point, yeah, he might have even gotten his own episode at this point. He also wrote the Series Has Landed, the first episode of Futurama. He also wrote Meanwhile, the last episode of Futurama, and a bunch of things in between. The Honking, Anthology of Interest,
I love it.
Godfellas
Anthology
one.
of Interest is real good.
Yeah. Godfellas, which is also a really good one. He also wrote Into the Wild Green Yonder. So this is like, this guy's writing a lot of stuff we love and doing this one as well. So yeah, I assume you've seen this before, Tom.
Oh yeah.
I saw it when it came out.
Yep.
I've seen it maybe 5 times of various degrees of being stoned, over the years. I've probably seen it more times than that, honestly.
I think this is only the second time I've seen it.
Okay. I'm not sure. Like, how do we judge a movie like this?
It's hard because I've started watching the series with Marina, but we've only made it past like the first 8 episodes.
Okay.
So she watched this movie with me and was still like, there was a couple, like there's a reference to Jurassic Park. There's a reference to,
right. Just don't show her Jurassic Park.
I already told her about Jurassic Park.
Okay.
So I think she's going to want to skip it.
Nobody needs to see that episode if they haven't. That I remember the first time I watched it, it was again like getting together with friends, getting high, being like, let's watch Futurama. Yeah, it's so fun. And then they pulled that shit and that was really mean. And I think they know it, right? Because this movie like retcons that episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, sort of. I think it's not necessary. I don't think it's like. I don't think it's like it's really a retcon so much as it's poking fun at it.
Yeah, they do that a few times in the reboot, but they technically change why Fry's dog becomes a fossil in this one.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about the time travel in this and what it means, because it's a bootstrap paradox, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Sorry, you were finishing. You were saying stuff.
I was just saying that watching this with Marina, she was still able to watch and enjoy the movie, having only seen a couple of episodes of the series. So,
would you call this a movie? That's my first question.
Yeah, I think it does a better job because I've seen some other TV shows pull this.
Yeah, like Family Guy did a movie.
Yeah, the Family Guy movie is way, way worse, and I wouldn't call that a movie. I guess I'm saying worse in terms of
structure.
Structure. I don't notice the structure in this one. Like it still feels mostly like a single storyline.
Yeah, I paid more attention to it this time, and it still has problems because their intent was always to break it up into episodes later.
Yes.
There's very little that changed if you watch the episodic version or this version. And so for that reason, they clearly had like, it has to be this amount of time. And it feels like it goes off on more tangents than a movie would.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely, there's a couple of plot lines that just launch and are then resolved relatively quickly, and it's like why it could this would benefit from being more focused for sure.
Well, I'm not gonna say benefit because this movie has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. I love this movie. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm just saying that I don't know if I technically call it a movie or a traditional movie, at least. I shouldn't say it's not a movie, but it's structured like a series of TV episodes. Like if you think about how fast, a 22-minute episode goes versus a movie, they're going at the speed of a 22-minute episode. Like the inciting incident in this, which would happen like 10-ish minutes in, is I guess the nudist aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they also have Hermes losing his head, and then at the end, around the 22-minute mark, they also have the time travel. So they're introducing all these elements, like the Hermes head. If you were making a movie, you would get rid of that plot line because it's like these are so many things, right? Like there's so many characters come in and out. It's
that's also a symptom of it being this is the first Futurama people had seen in like 6 or 7 years, I think.
Right. So they want everybody.
They wanted to get everything in there, yeah, and like this
again. This isn't a criticism. I want to be clear about that. It's just not a traditional movie structure, I would say.
No, but I admire this movie a lot more than like the Family Guy one or others that I've seen.
Me too.
Because this movie does the opposite of what you think the problem would be. Like the Family Guy movie, it's very clearly 3 episodes combined by an overarching storyline.
Right, which is like adult Stewie.
Stewie looking for his real father.
Right.
But then it's like, it's just very clearly 3 completely unrelated episodes that have this through line in it.
Right. The B story is, yeah.
The Futurama, Bender's Big Score is almost the exact opposite. Where like the story through lines, like the time travel, the nudist aliens, Fry's competition with this guy Lars, Hermes trying to get his body back. Those are the I'm searching for the right word, but I'm going to settle on loudest. Those are the loudest storylines.
Yeah.
In the movie. And they're the through lines. They're the thing that those are all the storylines that begin in the beginning and they end in the end of the movie. So it's like you notice the B plots less in this movie. At least I did. Like I was paying attention.
You identified Hermes, the nudist
Hermes losing his head,
the time travel,
the nudist alien, the time travel, and Fry's competition with Lars.
I would say Fry's competition with Lars is the weirdest one because in the last section, which this was broken up into 4 episodes. And in the last episode is the narwhal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like really weird. Like that feels like it goes off on its own tangent. That's not, I don't know. It's meant to be watched in order. Like you'd never want to pop in any of these episodes.
You wouldn't watch one of these episodes like out of order. Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. Like what
you definitely
gets stressed along the way. Like the movie, a lot of plot lines will just stop while they have to do the other stuff, as opposed to them all kind of running at the same time, I guess.
Yeah.
So it feels, thinking about it as a movie, it feels like kind of a fever dream where it's like and then and like there's a lot of, like you're saying, there is overarching plots. But there's a lot of weird tangents along the way, too. Mm-hmm. Like, we forget about the nudist aliens for a while. I feel like near the middle.
Because they get kicked off the planet to Neptune.
Right. That and the Neptune stuff. And the Santa stuff. I totally forgot about the Santa stuff. Mm-hmm. And, like, the songs. Like, there's a lot of weird... Again, it's what it is they're trying to introduce all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates kind of weird tangents, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. What I was saying is just you never lose the overarching threads.
Yeah.
And that those are like, now that we're sitting here, recording this episode and I'm thinking about what happened in the movie, those are the plot lines that I'm thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. I would also say that it's weird. This is my favorite of the Futurama movies, but I would say the other movies are less this problem because they're more focused because they don't have to worry about being the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong. I gotta go back and watch those.
I can't because I've seen them.
Yeah,
and I'm remembering them in the same way that you are. But as I just said, like I'm remembering Bender's Big Score in that way too, and I just watched it.
Yeah.
So it feels like the others are more focused, but I'm sure they're probably more similar to this than we're remembering.
The reason it works is because that's what Futurama always is. It's not tonally different than a Futurama episode. It feels, I don't know. It feels like it works because it just feels like you're in the world for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that's not a world you don't want. Like, of course you want to be in that world. And the sort of the fast pace of everything is just how they function,
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would say I compare it to like The Naked Gun or Airplane, where like the emotional pieces of the characters are still always there. The broad strokes do have these arcs. The weird stuff is like how they get from piece to piece, like suddenly having Al Gore driving a cab and doing this big weird action sequence that then gets at Bender from A to B. And like it's filled with those things because that's just the type of comedy it is.
Yeah.
But in a movie form and trying to think about it like a movie, like you get I don't know. I got sort of lost in my head.
Yeah, it gets a little dizzying. Yeah.
Yeah. But
the Harlem Globetrotters show up.
Right. Because
and then
again,
just
you don't
continue
notice
to be characters for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, you don't notice this shit, of course, but like sitting someone down, and if you're like, here's a movie called Bender's Big Score, like it's not really that, you know?
Not really.
Like it's a continuation of a TV series, and it's, you know, like I think about like the X-Files movie. That is structured like a movie, and it's supposed to be, theoretically, even though it's not, something that a non-X-Files fan can just pop on, you know? No one should ever do that.
No.
But that's technically, you can see it in the movie where they kind of are like, as you know, they like recap a few little details. And that's what I mean, is that this doesn't feel like whenever a TV show is adapted to a movie, they do the movie stuff. They structure it differently, and this just feels like a very long episode, and that's good. That's not bad, because this is great.
Yeah,
it's fun. The joke that I forgot is throughout the episode, or the show, the movie, is fucking Torgo's executive powder, and what an amazing... It's like the first joke of the movie, not technically, but that they've ground up Fox executives.
Yeah.
And are now using their powder to do like stupid stuff, like put it in their toilet or in their pants.
Glue Hermes' head back on.
Yeah. I love that that's throughout the whole goddamn thing.
He uses it to defuse a bomb.
I also forgot the term spam jaculator.
The one that really got me was, I forget which moment it's at, but when the professor goes like, how in Satan's glorious name did you did you come back from the past? I fucking howled.
Yeah.
That
one. All right, I have a question.
Yeah, this is I don't know what we're going to talk about, but yeah, lay that question on me.
Yeah, first of all, this might be a short one just because I think we've talked about this in the past, and we're always going to honor when people want us to watch a movie. But if you have us watch like just a fun comedy, it's hard to talk about it. We can deconstruct the writing, but it's Futurama. It's a very popular show. I don't know what we're going to add to the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And just recounting things that we enjoy. I mean, why?
Yeah.
I do have some questions. What is the Hall of Screaming Skulls?
I don't know. It's incredible. Is what it is.
I'm glad it's in here, but in the logic of the universe, I don't know what that is.
I don't know why you're thinking this hard about it.
I don't know.
It's the Hall of Screaming Skulls.
I should ask my question. I have a couple other thoughts, but were you ever tricked by Lars?
I was not. It took Marina until right before they revealed it to figure out that it was Lars.
I cannot remember because I was probably really high the first time I watched this.
Yeah. I remember it being... I remember definitely knowing it by the time the narwhal stuff started. Like, by the time Fry has a beard, you're like, oh, that's... And also, like, you can... if you're, like, a big fan of the show, or you can tell that Lars's voice is just Billy West doing, like, an older sounding
version
I was reading
in the trivia that they actually considered having somebody else voice the character of Lars for that reason, but it's just that he looks like Fry.
Yeah, I mean, they all kind of... That's a Simpsons thing. Like, if you shave any Simpsons character, they're going to essentially mostly all look the same.
No, you're not wrong. I just like that. I like that idea. It's true. If you shave them all, they all look the same. Kind of like us humans, too. Not
dissimilar from us, yeah.
No, I would say if an alien shaved us all, they wouldn't be able to tell us apart.
No, definitely not.
This is why they put, like, I was just talking to someone about this today. That's why they put, like bows and shit on babies, I feel like, in hospitals. because I feel like hospitals, they really don't want to lose a kid or like switch a kid.
Yeah, that's 100% why they do that.
Yeah, and babies are just shaved adults. So that's sort of that's this. I'm right. We're right. If you shaved adults, they would just look like big babies.
They just look like enormous babies.
You'd have to put bows and collars on them.
Huge, just massive babies.
Huge, massive babies. So that must have been. They must have wondered if that was going to work or not. And
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
But all they do is they change his facial hair and his voice. And like looking back at it, I was watching it with Hannah, and she was just like, "I can't believe this tricked me." And it was like, "Yeah, I can't." Like, it's so obvious. In retrospect,
a little. He behaves completely differently, and his
that's true.
His eyes are different. Like his eyes, I think, are half lidded.
Right, and it's probably because the smoke damage, and like him going through this. I love how they wrote it because they wrote the idea that this is a different person. And the way they did it is they had him go through an experience that fundamentally changed Fry.
Yeah.
And that was the narwhal thing.
Yeah, he's also just like 12 years older, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I don't... Is anybody listening to this who hasn't seen Bender's Big Score?
I don't know, because we didn't even attempt to explain what it's about.
No, it's a Futurama... It's an extended Futurama episode that deals with time paradoxes and time travel. And it's... so fun. It's some real Christopher Nolan shit, but like better.
Yeah, they get real wacky with it.
Yeah, so Fry goes back in time to the year 2000 because he's mad, or he's sad that Layla is in a relationship with Lars. And he starts to live his life there. Then they invent stupid reasons why people go back in time really quickly, or in a really like short span. He goes back an hour to eat a pizza while it's still warm.
Yeah,
and that creates two versions of himself. Because in this version of time travel, or at least the way it keeps happening is when they run into their past self, they are essentially creating a new timeline for themselves. Where. Because knowing that you went back in time might change whether or not you go back in time. And so, like, when he meets his previous self from an hour ago, doesn't go back in time to do the pizza, splits off into a different timeline. And the idea is that the newer version of you is the one that has the right to live, whereas the older version gets junked, right? And is doomed to die. Did I get that right? That's what's happening, right? It's the newer one.
I'm not sure if it's the newer one or not. I know that the code they're using to go back in time is a paradox erasing code. So if you create redundant versions of yourself, they're all doomed to die.
Right. But how does it decide the redundant version?
I think you're still like the main, like the Fry Prime is still the one that doesn't get blown up.
And that's the Fry, but that's the Fry that goes back in time, right? To meet himself an hour ago.
I think?
Yeah. Because the Fry from an hour ago is the one that then goes to the pizza place, starts the conversation that Fry had that sent him back in time, but instead says, "Can I live upstairs?" So that's Lars. That's the one that eventually dies. So he's technically the previous version of Fry, because Fry went back in time and encountered it himself. In the terms of like Hermes' body, they say we went back in time and got you another body, which to me implies that they killed Hermes back in time.
They did. They don't imply it. They straight up tell you that they did.
And so they didn't care that would kill future Hermes, and it doesn't.
No, his body explodes.
Right, but what I'm saying is you go back in time, you kill someone, that would kill them in the future. You would think.
Normally, but this
paradox-free time travel.
Exactly.
So, but that, again, the body is the thing that explodes. So that's the past version
Yes.
It's always the past
The
version.
past version of Hermes is what explodes at the wedding.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is that the paradox prefers the newest model, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
The body that has existed the longest.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter as long as you can follow the storyline.
Well, this is what is fun about it, is that they introduce time travel elements in a sci-fi plot that I mean, this is the fun of Futurama. This is what I love about Futurama, is that it's essentially Star Trek TNG. Like, they do the same thing, and so they have fun with sci-fi plots and therefore are consistent. And I think the consistency here is that, which is that if I went back in time and talked to myself, that would create two versions of myself. That's how the paradox, it's Back to the Future rules, right? That's how the paradox is avoided. So I could go back in time and stab myself in the dick, and current me my dick would be stab free.
Exactly.
Because I've created a second version of myself. That second version of myself that I created would then get murdered because it can't exist.
Right.
While I also exist.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you go back in time, does that mean, but do you have to interact with yourself, do you suppose? Or just going back in time dooms your
I think you have to be existing at the same time. Okay,
yeah, that makes sense. Which is wild, because that means that you could go back in time and it could result in your past self dying, and then you could go back into the future and you will have essentially gone missing for those years that you weren't missing before, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. This movie also has the benefit of primer rules, where in primer they're like in a controlled area for a long amount of time, and so is Fry. I love how they use the cryogenic tubes as well.
Yeah.
They explain Fry's girlfriend, why she gets unfrozen at the wrong time in a previous episode. Like, they do a lot of explaining old episodes. They do the bit where when Fry was first frozen, you see the space alien ships.
Yeah, and it's Bender.
Zapping. Yeah, and
Bender stealing something.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I got the time travel right.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, that's the ultimate point. It introduced also the bootstrap paradox, where Fry calls himself Lars because he realizes he's Lars.
Yes.
So you don't know where that originally came from.
And he gets the tattoo on his butt because Bender knows he has to take the tattoo off of Lars's butt and go back in time and put it on Fry's butt.
Yeah. It's the movie Predestination.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No different from the film Predestination.
It's a time loop.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're really, really high, this shit is amazing. Like, this shit is out of control.
This is also the first time Nibbler talks, which I didn't realize, or I didn't remember. Is it
really the first time?
It's the first, it's definitely the first time he talks in front of Leela, because she says, you can talk?
Well, no, isn't what happens, because this is more sci-fi shit that I love, isn't there an episode where he can talk and at the end all their memories are erased? I'm pretty sure
maybe.
There's one where he talks and then they forget that he can talk.
Maybe. It's been a while since I've gone through the series.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do that joke in this movie, and I was like, oh, I didn't remember that this was the first time Nibbler speaks in front of people, and maybe it's not. I don't know.
No, it might be the first time he speaks, and that they now know that he speaks.
I can do more than talk. I can pontificate. King Nibbler, our kitten class warships were no match for their chairs.
Oh god, that's so fucking good. No, because I'm pretty sure there's the episode. It might be The Day the Earth Stood Stupid. I forget which one. There's one that they explain that Nibbler is the reason Fry was frozen in the first place, because he went back in time and tipped his chair.
Oh right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
They love to do that sci-fi shit. They love to go back and be like, well, this is actually what's happening. To the point that cryogenic freezing room, so much happens in like the span of 1 hour in that room at the year 2000.
That's a real Star Trek thing. Like Star Trek, beginning with, I think, TNG, started to do that shit a lot, like going back to older episodes.
Right, but I love that they're just doing that 1 hour of Fry's life is apparently really important. I also love that cryogenic freezing, that New York City cryo freezing building has like terrible security. And just like so much bullshit has happened in that one place.
Stays in business in the same office for 1,000 years.
For 1,000 years, yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, they should have bought stock in that. That's what they should do the next time they go back in time. Gotta biff that shit.
They gotta biff that shit. Fucking Lord Nibbler. Fuck, I had something else I was gonna mention before Nibbler. It might not have been important. There's just so much.
That's fair.
There's so much little jokes in this.
Yeah. I love Hedonism Bod. I'm glad he's in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Hedonism Bod. I mean, pretty much everyone who was in the show up to this point is in the film.
Right. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. One of my favorite character traits of Bender, because this is also from the episode where they are the Roswell that ends well.
Roswell
episode.
That ends well, yeah.
I love that Bender is apparently totally fine with just being in one place for eternity or for thousands of years.
Yeah.
They do that thing where like yeah. I love that because it's like it's the anti-trope, right? Is like a robot that's been isolated for thousands of years would be the one that goes insane or something like that. And they do that in Roswell where they're like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. He says something like, it was fine until you guys showed up.
Yeah.
Like he just is ultimate antisocial where he's like, just bury me for thousands of years and I'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
And they do the thing where, Bender keeps going back in time to rob famous things, which Hana also pointed out, which again, it's paradox proof, but if you steal the Mona Lisa, it's no longer valuable. Like when it's getting made. You
stole it in that timeline, right? I don't know.
Yeah, this
is a whole ass paradox thing.
Well, again, it's paradox free, the same way they can kill Hermes back in time, and he's not actually like it's.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you really want to figure this out? Because
no, not really.
In Back to the Future, it was about alternate timelines branching off, and they did a similar thing where, like, in the cutscenes, Biff vanishes or Marty vanishes in the first one. But in this one, it's like the vanishing is like takes a while to happen, and it's not, and it's more like fate gets in the way and kills the other person somehow. I don't know. It's still it's generally the same rules, right? Knowing Futurama, they absolutely like consulted with nerds because they love doing that.
Yeah, no, it's there's a prime timeline, and then you can have a million timelines that are split off from it.
There are nerds enjoying this on a different level. I know there's like math jokes and shit in Futurama that I will never understand. Oh yeah, no, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. Yeah, they love that shit. They love it.
That's all for you guys.
Yeah.
You may have that.
Yeah, I am not intelligent enough to
no, hell no.
To figure that out. The only joke that was like, I get it, which was just their anger at Fox executives throughout.
I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same gag that Family Guy did.
Yeah, I was yes. Back. But here's the difference in my head is the Family Guy joke is also funny. Because it's if they said that if they canceled and then he names all the shows.
Off all of the shows that were canceled.
Yeah. What I like about the Futurama joke is it seems innocent and then it slowly escalates because it's like the people at the Box Network, and okay, they're making fun of, they're doing a thing, and then it's clearly Fox. And then he says, like, all those executives have been fired, and everybody's like, yay. And then he's like, also, some of them have been beaten. And they're like, yay. Like, many of them, I believe, has died from their injuries. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And so it's like, oh, that's a fun joke. And then it transitions into like, why? And they're like, they've been ground up into a fine powder. And they're like, why? And they're like, oh, it can be used in for so many things.
Yeah, and he just
puts
pours
them
it
down
on
his pants.
dick.
Yeah, and so it's like, oh, okay, so you ground up Fox executives and poured them on your dick.
Yep.
I see now. But it just takes like they walk you
That
there,
puts the fire out.
and then it
Something.
continues when they're like putting it in a toilet and like doing it for. Yeah, it's just like it's a fuck you.
Yeah.
That then lasts the whole episode or the whole movie.
And I think they bring it back a couple of times.
Yeah, I think so. No, they bring it back throughout. Oh, you mean in other episodes?
In later episodes.
Yeah, I love Torgo's executive powder because it's essentially saying that executives are more valuable if they were ground up and used as like baby powder.
Yes.
It's perfect. That's perfect. Perfect movie.
Yeah, no notes. I have 0 notes.
Yeah, no, I have. Well, it's Futurama, man. I don't know unless like. I don't know. I guess my final note is if people are asking us to do stuff like Futurama, please don't. Like, there's only so much we're going to be able to say about them. That like there's nothing I could say about the next Futurama movie that I didn't already say about this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not regretting we did this one. I'm saying that there's no way we could do more of these, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do our best. If you know, but it's tough to do movies that are like this, that are just kind of real quick breezy comedies that most people enjoy and that we both enjoy. It's hard to it's the same reason Jeff and I aren't going to do Harley Quinn on Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, because it's like, well, this is already a deconstruction of Batman. Why would we try to deconstruct the deconstruction?
Right. And I also just mean because this is part of a series where it's like I was excited to do this Bender's Big Score.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I was excited to watch Bender's Big Score.
Yeah.
Because I love Futurama. And I guess that's the final thing I wanted to talk about is I just fucking love Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama's great. Yeah,
and I think one of the things I identified about it, and this happened when I was writing the Some More News movie, which we were thinking about, like, there are no optimistic looks at the future.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have them. And this is one of the few ones that I would call optimistic.
A little. I mean,
cynical. It's snarky.
I mean, Star Trek is the optimistic one.
Well, not anymore, but yes.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about actual Star Trek, not whatever horse shit they're putting on TV right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, our generation has had basically Star Trek, and then it was bleak.
That's pretty much every generation. Like,
probably, yeah. I think you're right.
Futurist fiction is rarely positive,
and I guess that's what makes Futurama so significant in my mind, because it really, for 50 years, it was Star Trek. And then you could say the Orville, but I don't think the Orville counts because it's Star Trek. They're just doing Star Trek.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean is that, like, that's kind of amazing. That in terms of popular or at least like notable optimistic views of the future, it's really Star Trek and Futurama. And I would say Futurama is optimistic. It still recognizes things like climate change and you know, like political issues and all. Like, again, it's cynical. They're commenting on the problems of today. But the world of Futurama is a world I want to live in. Much like the Star Trek world is a world I want to live in. And I can't really say that for much else in terms of future, like fictional futures. Like, is there another?
Not yet. None that immediately come to mind. No,
I would not want to live in Star Wars.
Yeah,
that place is bullshit.
Star Wars is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. There's weird space gangsters. Oh God, there's all the aliens, the lightsabers. Everybody was like, lightsabers are cool. Guess what? You don't get them. You don't get lightsabers. Like, yes, if I got to be a Jedi in the universe, sure. But we're talking about being the person you are in that universe. You don't get no fucking lightsaber.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, you and me in the Star Wars universe, we're not even ever seeing a lightsaber.
Exactly. In terms of talking about fictional futures that are good for the everyday person, Star Trek and Futurama. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Again, there's probably some others here and there. I'm sure, like, I don't know, the Future in Sequest, maybe that was fine. I don't know.
I mean, I remember Sequest being pretty sweet.
Yeah, Jetson. Well, but again, just for the Sequesters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the people, the land lovers, you know? Jetsons, I guess, but Jetsons is fucking...
Jetsons sucks, though.
Yeah, I would say Futurama is... it's the next Jetsons. It was basically... Because Jetsons was a hit, right?
I guess. I think so. I mean, we're talking about it.
Yeah. It was essentially just a sitcom with a bunch of jokes of like, it's a robot, you know? Like, that's my impression of the Jetsons.
I haven't seen a robot.
I haven't seen a Jetsons episode
that classic
in years.
Jetsons gag.
That classic Jetsons line, it's a robot.
It's a robot.
But you know what I mean? Where it's like, it was like the Flintstones, where it's like, oh, and the joke is it's a bird. You know?
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's old and it's bullshit. But I'm sure a lot of people loved it when it wasn't old bullshit. Like, someone's gonna be saying this about Futurama at some point, right?
Yeah, probably. But they'll be wrong, whereas we're correct.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jetsons can eat my shit.
Yeah. I don't want to live in that world too.
You hear me? Jetsons.
What? I think this was answered, but like, I don't trust a world where you can't see the ground.
Yeah, that's not a world I want to live in.
Yeah. I think it was answered that it's water, which makes me think maybe it was on the planet Camino. Is that the right planet I was thinking of in Star Wars?
From Star Wars, yeah. Where they clone
planet.
Jango Fett, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'd live on Camino.
Camino looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, I like how stormy it is.
There's probably some crazy ass fucking demons swimming around in that water. But...
Well, yeah, I wouldn't go in the water, but I would just hang out with those really fuckable aliens, those long aliens.
Yeah, the little stick bug aliens.
Yeah.
They're just crazy spindly,
some sexy aliens. Yeah.
Yep.
No, but yeah, I think Futurama is. I don't know. It's interesting to think about because I remember when it first came out, it didn't impress me right away. And now it's like one of the best shows ever made, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I also, I watched it when it first premiered and really didn't think that much of the pilot episode.
No, I think maybe I was too young because it's funny because all the Simpsons writers moved over to Futurama, I believe.
A lot of them, yeah.
Which is what happened to the Simpsons. And so like I was a big Simpsons fan and then Futurama, it just felt like a Simpsons clone. Which is a funny criticism because it's like, that's not a bad thing. But when you're like a young...
When you're a young? Yeah.
When you're a young, I don't know, you're a little dumber. Or, I don't know, because looking back at that first episode, it's not bad.
It's fine.
It's fine. When was it? It was like 2000...
It was 1999.
It was 1999. Okay, that I was a young. I was a gross youngie.
Oh, man, yeah, that's gross.
Yeah.
Why would you want to be that?
Yeah. Yeah, we really got to do something about the youth.
Well, let's use the paradox-free time travel and go back in time and kill them all.
Yeah!
We'll kill all the youngs so that they...
We'll kill all the youngs.
Yeah, so that, they can't...
We nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I feel like I've said what I need to say about Futurama. What about you?
I think so, yeah. I've made my point. I've said my piece.
Yeah. Good movie. Check it out.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, if you haven't, check it out. Avoid the dog one. What's that one called?
Jurassic Bark.
Jurassic Bark. I would argue that is a bad episode for what it does to you. Like it's a well-written episode, obviously.
Yeah.
But what it's doing versus what Futurama should exist for, no fun.
It's pretty brutal, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some Don Bluth shit. Come on now. So thank you to Andrew McGuire.
Yeah.
For doing this. I always enjoy watching Futurama, so.
Yeah, any excuse to do that.
Yeah, Andrew did this through our Patreon, and if you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We have exclusive podcasts there, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. We watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. And there's a tier where you can have custom episodes of We Just Watch, where you can request more Futurama movies if you want.
Yeah, tell us to watch The Beast with a Billion Backs. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll watch it. I don't know if what we'll have to say is any different than this episode.
I don't know.
But we can just talk about stuff too. I guess we talk about a lot of hentai with that one, right? Mm-hmm. We go into hentai stuff.
And David Cross, I believe.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right. Well, fucking do it to us. Who gives a shit?
We also have a store, tpublic.com/store/gamefully unemployed. We can get t-shirts, masks, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out. Do that. Do that thing that I said.
Do it.
Do it.
Yeah, and watch. Don't trust anybody who's young. Also, old people. Mm-hmm. Both bad.
Yeah.
Like, what would we say, Tom? Where? What's the sweet spot here?
I don't know. Like between, I don't know, like what, like 28 and I don't know, 40.
20. Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'm going to age myself out of this. I'm just going to say 40. Only 40-year-olds.
Yeah, just 40-year-olds.
Yeah, they're the only ones that can be trusted.
39? Nope.
Throw that shit right out.
41? Get the fuck out of my face.
Yep. Too old.
Mm-hmm. Too old. You're too
40.
old, pal.
Yep.
Old man Winter. Fuck out of here.